So in 1980, you may or may not remember that we were introduced to the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy. And if you're not familiar with The Gods Must Be Crazy, I cannot tell you right now if it's worth rewatching because I have not seen it for a really long time. But the whole point is this, that in the opening of the movie, there is a guy flying over Africa in this like a single, like a prop airplane, having a Coca-Cola, and then finishes it and just decides to throw the glass bottle out the window. And in so doing, he sets the whole stage for the whole purpose of the film. He drinks his Coke, discards the bottle, and this African tribe gets a new piece of technology in the form of this glass bottle. Hilarity, confusion, innovation ensue. It is a comedy, kind of a mockumentary, maybe one of the first of its kind, or maybe the thousandth. I'm not sure, but it's a very funny movie. Eventually, in the end of the movie, they realize that this Coke bottle, this new piece of technology, the juice just didn't worth the squeeze. There is not enough value being derived from his presence. It is doing more harm than it is good. And so they eventually attempt to return this gift from the gods back to the gods themselves. So if that Coke bottle was a difficult piece of tech for those people to manage or to deal with or to incorporate into their everyday lives, what do you think that they would be thinking about now, 45 years later, 46 years? What year is it? Where am I? What's going on? How would they feel about that? What would be most difficult for an uncontacted tribe to process? How do you think that they deal with an iPhone? What about what about a modern grocery store? If one of these guys or gals walks into a Whole Foods, like, oh my goodness. All right, that's a pretty good one. What about DoorDash? What about that? Like, yeah, I know it's exciting that we literally have a place on every corner and every street in the United States of America where you can get a chicken sandwich. But not only that, sir, madam, you can have another person go and pick it up for you and bring it to your house. Whew. How about that? Wow. Get your brain around that deal. Okay, maybe not that. What about OnlyFans? How do you think that this uncontacted tribe will be able to manage that? Hmm. What about Disney World? Just the mere existence of Disney World, the Magic Kingdom, where you can walk in and just you are met by delicious smells and the most extraordinary things you've ever seen, and people just elated to be there, and rides and pageantry and imagination and just just joy everywhere. Hmm. But then take that one step further. What if that tribe then noticed that there were as many grown-ups without kids as there were grown-ups with kids? How would they be able to process that? That's a big one. Not only that, what if half of those grown-ups were riding around on scooters because they either didn't want to or not able to walk the entire park? These are all mind-blowing things, mind-blowing things. The internet itself is difficult for us to get our brains around today, let alone for some folks that have no idea that these technologies even exist. Which brings me to these diseases of abundance, the the current state of indulgence, and the reality and recognition that we human beings just do not deal very well with success. We have such a hard time with it. We have such a hard time reconciling it from a psychological standpoint, where we feel the need to deconstruct everything that we've built. You can think about things like land acknowledgments, and we feel so guilty about these things. And in a lot of ways, I think it's such a blessing that we have the headspace and the resources of time, attention, energy, and money to be devoting to things that are inconsequential and not really that important, but they were able to do that. So that is right there a blessing and a curse. It is this double-edged sword that you have the ability to take 4 years of your life or 6 years of your life and to go away from your home to a different city in a different state and go to college and just spend 4 to however many years learning. That's amazing. Incredible. And then take that one step further, as is the whole theme of our time today, and you're able to study whatever you want. You can study, you can do studies on pickleball. I guarantee there are degrees on pickleball. There are degrees on studying different groups of human beings. I'm sure that there's men's studies. I know that there's women's studies. There's African studies. There's Norwegian studies. Amazing, amazing that we have today the ability to dream and conceive and then actually create most anything. What a blessing. But then, as it turns out, it's also a curse. Because what have we done with all these wonderful opportunities and unique opportunities? We've built Disney World and then we filled it up with grown-ups riding in scooters. We created the internet, but half of it's porn. We 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 created fast food and then figured out a way to have it delivered to our house. Yeah. Yeah, this it's how hard is it to acquire a chicken sandwich from this chicken sandwich store? It's it's pretty easy. So I can just go there and get out. No, you don't even have to get out of your vehicle. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. You just drive through and they hand it to you and then you drive home. No, you don't you're not able to get in your car and drive over. You can't do that. That's okay. We're going to make it so you don't need to ever leave your house ever again, and you're still able to consume the delicious chicken sandwich. Wow. Wow. So we took it too far. We're not dealing well with new technologies. We're not dealing well with our newfound or our found time. We have the majority of our needs met, and then we go looking around for new needs to meet or to be met, or different ways just kind of blow the whole thing up. So, for every single technology, every form of technology, be it that Coke bottle from the movie at the beginning I was talking about, to fire. Fire is neither good nor bad. It's just fire. How could be good? Well, it's really good, obviously, because we can use it to cook foods. We can use it to create warmth. It's bad because, well, sometimes my house starts on fire. It can be really destructive. The printing press, that was a good one. That was a really important new technology, right? It allowed more people to read the Bible. And so that just in itself is maybe one of the most profound things that has happened to humanity. And we were able to write whatever we wanted. We were able to create propaganda and to start socially and engineering and do all these other things. So, gunpowder, well, that's a pretty good one, right? It allowed us to shift balance of power and allowed individuals to be able to stand up to tyrannical power. And obviously, there's a downside to that too. So it's a pretty tricky one. Same thing is true of nuclear energy. The same thing is true of the internet and social media. And only time will tell how artificial intelligence fits into all of this. Only time will tell. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But you could take this all the way to plastic. And obviously, plastic is absolutely everywhere. It's even inside of our bodies, which isn't good. And even agriculture. You can look at agriculture as the thing that has allowed, I mean, we're every year bringing more people out of abject poverty. Fewer people are dying from lack of food. Yet we have that whole chicken sandwich thing that I was talking about. Chicken sandwich in everybody's hand. What was it? A chicken in everybody's pot? A chicken sandwich in everybody's mouth? that we're able to mass produce food in such an incredible level is a miracle. But obviously, chickens probably have a different interpretation of that. And I think we can all agree that factory farming is repulsive and reprehensive and disgusting. But that chicken sandwich is really good, buddy. Whoo, wow. Tough on the environment. Monocrop agriculture. Not great. Seed oils, not great for my body. Whew. And oh, by the way, we're all overweight, like two-thirds of adults or whatever. But you know that. You already know that. So, what is it about human beings? What is it about human beings? Why are we unable to deal with abundance? Why is abundance eating our lunch? Why is that happening? Is this a new development? Could this be new, or has it always been the case? Now, this is something I've talked about numerous times over the years, and I talk about it so much because I love it, and I think it's true. Um, Dr. DeBakey, he is the gentleman who invented the artificial heart. So extremely, extremely, extremely successful, smart person. I think that he probably invented the procedure. It's Dr. Michael DeBakey. Rest in peace. He died at the age of 99 in I think the mid 2000s, so like 2008 or 2009, at the age of 99. So he had a wonderful life and obviously had this major impact. But he was profiled once in a magazine, and the feature was called What I've Learned. And this has always stuck with me. It just so happened that I had the physical copy of the magazine. That's the reason I was able to find it or read it. Otherwise, I don't think that I would have ever found it. So now I'm going to share it with you as well. But he said that one of the things that he learned over the course of his life was that there was a historian in the 14th century. So the 14th century, it's a long time ago, who wrote a book about what he knew of the world. And for that time, it was pretty good. One of the interesting observations he made is that all the tribes that have difficulty feeding themselves are lean and healthy. And those that have plenty of food are fat, lazy, and unhealthy. So again, from the 14th century, this cat goes and observes tribes. And the observation was that the tribes that had very little food and had a hard time acquiring food were all lean and healthy. And those that had plenty of food were fat, lazy, and unhealthy. Well, there you go. I think that's the story of humanity right there. When things become too easy, life gets really hard. And when things are a struggle, I got to stay ready. I got to stay ready. I got to be on the ball. I got to be on point. I have to be prepared. I have to be always vigilant and always pushing myself and striving and endeavoring and moving forward and wanting more. I think that that is what animates the human experience or what extinguishes it. When we are comfortable, it screws everything up. When we are discomforted, when we know if we don't kill, we don't eat, we got to get moving. There's no sentiment in that scenario. Nobody cares how I feel about it. If I don't go and find some food, I'm going to die. I have fewer things to worry about. I just have to worry about really that one thing. What happens when I meet that need? I can start worrying about other stuff. And what a blessing that is. But we're going too far with all of it. We're going too far. The main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing. It's not continually looking for new things to optimize. Let's just figure out how we can keep our eye on the ball and keep in mind those things that are of the greatest value, of the highest importance, and then treat those things as though they are of the greatest value and the highest importance. Wouldn't that be the trick? So, in humanity's collision with technology, or technology's collision with humanity, It's all on a case by case basis. Is this thing helping us or hurting us? Is it adding to our lives or is it subtracting? In an ideal world, in an ideal world, we would have ideal outcomes. We would have ideal situations and ideal outcomes. But meanwhile, here in the current or real world, as we like to call it, we don't have ideal circumstances. We don't have ideal outcomes. The trick to all of this, the trick to having a successful life, to have successful relationships, successful societies, is to remember what the most important things are and to be good at evaluating whether or not this thing makes sense to bring into my life or not. Yeah, it's great that this Coke bottle fell out of the sky and now I can do cool stuff with it. But does that mean they're going to start using it for everything? It's great that I've got Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini and Copilot and whoever knows what else I'm already using. I don't even know it or what's going to be coming in the future. But at what cost? And is this giving me that net benefit that I'm really looking for? Hmm. Something we all need to consider and be thoughtful about, or at least I would advocate that, or I would tell you that these are things that I'm constantly thinking about and questioning. Is this the right way to do it? Is this thing just because it's cool or it's shiny or everybody else says that I should be doing it? If everybody else was jumping off a bridge, George, would you do it too? So I ask you this, which Coke bottle do you think you need to get rid of? Which should you get better at? You know, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum here. I like new technology as much as the next guy or gal, but I also want to be smart about it. And I also don't recognize where am I fat and happy? Where am I losing touch? Where am I forgetting about what really matters? Where am I sacrificing the important for the unimportant? So that's a big one. Stuff to think about. As always, do your part by doing your best.